Okay, last chapter we found out that Frau Eberhardt was the one who told the Stasi about Herr Kraus. And she's now being like extra suspicious of the family, asking them questions. Her and Mama had this tense conversation. And then they're digging down in the tunnel and they hear Papa on the other side. So their tunnels are kind of converging. So the way I imagine it is that Goethe's tunnel is like here, going from east to west, and Papa's tunnel is like here. So now the tunnels are like this. So they almost met with each other perfectly, but not quite. So now they have to go like that to get over to where Papa is. That's how I imagine it anyways. Okay. I want you to keep thinking about how the author is using themes of trust and risk throughout the book. So you can prepare for potential parlay discussion about those themes. Let's get started. We're just going to do chapter 39 now. Okay. Fritz immediately started to widen the hole, but after a quick reading, Papa warned him to stop. Why? It took real effort to keep from kicking the dirt wall down entirely, and my tone showed it. Sweet Goethe, how I've missed you. Papa's voice wavered a bit, then became serious again as he said, We're too shallow. We've been measuring this morning, and we're certain that we've been slowly tunneling uphill. Last night we heard the dogs over us. They might even be able to detect us below. We heard barking, and maybe we're the reason why. Then let's dig lower! The impatience I felt streamed through me like raw energy. The fact that we were just sitting here, so close, and yet conversing through a tiny hole in the dirt, was impossibly frustrating. Mama stepped forward and put her hand on my shoulder. Patience, Goethe, this must be done right. There was silence, and then my father's voice broke as if he was crying. Katerina, my dear wife, is that you? I looked up at my mother, and in the low light saw tears on her cheeks. It's me, I'm here, she answered. Aldous. I tried to get back to you, my love, all this time. Mama pressed her hand against the wall, as if touching it brought her closer to my father. Suddenly, I felt shame for my anger towards her these past 4 years, when my father seemed to have held on to nothing but his love for her. Who was I to judge her when he had not? In apology, I wrapped an arm around her and nestled closer as she brought me against her side. Then another voice came through. Mama? I didn't recognize it, but only one other person would have said that word. Dominic? Mama pressed even closer against the dirt. She folded a little, and for the first time, I began to understand how painful it must have been to be separated from one of her children. Tears filled my eyes, but with such a filthy hand, I could only let them fall. Behind me, even Fritz sniffed with emotion. You never should have dug this tunnel, Fritz, Papa said. The danger of it. Careful who you blame, Fritz said. It was Goethe who started this. Goethe? He stopped and chuckled lightly. I see that she is no less headstrong than the night I left. My wonderful, brave girl, I should have known. Even from here, I heard his sigh. So headstrong means what it sounds like. You know, somebody who is like energetic and determined and willful to get things done. You suggested it, Papa, I said. I saw you. I only wanted you to know we were coming, he said, so you could be ready. Fritz gave me a look. That was exactly what he had told me. Did you guys get it? I mean, Papa was digging towards them this whole time. That's why we haven't seen them on the platform and things, and they didn't actually have to start their tunnel. But they had no way of knowing that for sure, did they? But then Papa continued. But now that we're this close, I'm glad you did. We'd have been another couple of weeks to get over to you. Let us keep digging, Fritz said. We could open this tunnel in the next few hours. Then we must dig deeper, Papa said. I don't like the way the dirt looks above us. It's like clay beneath our feet, Fritz said. It'll take a month to bridge the tunnels if we have to go lower. But he started anyway. The tunnel wasn't wide enough here for Mama and I to help, and Fritz wasn't emptying enough of the dense packed soil to require us to remove it. Papa said he had to go back to help us carry out some dirt. We promised him that we would wait there. Hour after hour passed with very slow progress on our end. The dirt on Papa's side was collapsing and sealed up the hole he had made with the stick and even the little gap Fritz had made. Then Fritz suggested he and Mama should better fortify our end of the tunnel. Fortify means make it stronger. For when the entire gap was broken open. We need more bricks, Fritz said, eyeing the dirt above him. If it starts to collapse and we join these tunnels, I want to be ready. There's still some bricks left upstairs, I offered. Not many, but maybe one more pile on the main floor. Be careful, Mama said. Send them down in the bucket when you're ready and I'll unload them into the tunnel. I hurried out of the shelter, up the ladder into the basement, and then up the stairs onto the main floor. The bricks were indeed there as I had thought, but it occurred to me that in this daytime light I could possibly see into the death strip and confirm that our propped-up door had repaired the dark patch on the ground. It was a terrible risk to be up there with no shadows to keep me in the safe zones, but I was also becoming used to these risks, and this one had to be taken. So it seems to be getting more and more important for them to be careful of the risks that they're taking. So why does Goethe keep pushing it further and further? Like, why is she making this more risky than it has to be? What do you think is her motivation? I crept to the upper floor, aware of each step I took, of even the smallest movements I made. I went slowly and kept my body pressed to the wall as if I were part of it. The window in front of me was missing its glass, but if I stayed low, that would be the best place for a view. All it would take was for a watchtower guard to look at this building while my head was visible, and it would be over. Alarms would sound, dogs would be called, and shots would be fired. Nobody would be quicker to acknowledge the stupidity of me being up here on the very same day as we would surely break through to my father. But I thought about what Papa had said, that they had gone too shallow, and that worried me. I would look very quickly, no hesitations, no stares, just the quickest glance into the center of the death strip, so fast that if I happened to catch the corner of a guard's eye, when he looked again, I would be gone, and he would assume it was a trick of the light. The best news would be to see the dark spot was entirely gone. There wasn't much chance of that, but I hoped at least it was no worse. And then I would look a little farther on to Papa's side of the tunnel. After brushing away the sweat from my palms, I peeked through the window, but suddenly couldn't tear myself away. I had heard the phrase, frozen in fear, but never understood it before, not like I did in that moment. When I finally forced myself back against the wall, my heart was racing so much that I could barely breathe. Nobody had seen me, or at least no alarms were sounding, but our problem was just as awful. A line seemed to be caving in on Papa's side. It wasn't just one little sunken area like with ours. Papa's entire tunnel was going to collapse. Stop! I cried once I re-entered the tunnel. I flew past my mother in the shelter, ignored her question about what had taken me so long, and grabbed Fritz's arm. Papa's tunnel is collapsing just like ours. I saw it just now. I went to the upper floor and saw it. Fritz's mouth opened, then shut. And then he used the handle of the shovel to push another hole through to Papa's side. Papa wasn't there, but Dominic was, and Fritz relayed our panicked message. Instantly, we heard Dom run off, calling for our father. When Papa returned to talk with us, Fritz told him the danger signs we had noticed earlier on our end. I see it here, Papa said. There are fissures in the earth where it's begun to separate. How have I missed it? Goethe said the problems run through most of the length of your tunnel. You have to prop it up now, Fritz cried. Use anything you have, brick or wood, or anything that would hold it up. Get out of your end, Papa said. If our tunnel collapses, yours will go down too. We can't, Fritz said. We have to finish tonight. If I don't report for military service tomorrow, they'll arrest me. Do not report there, Papa said. Do you hear me? If they get hold of you, we'll never get you out again. Come back early in the morning. If I haven't stabilized this tunnel by then, it'll be too late anyway. I want you all to make preparations to leave. Either you pass through this tunnel tomorrow, or you'll all have to leave the city and hide until we can figure out another way. Aldous, Mama cried. If it collapses and you're in there. Get out, Papa said. Now that I'm looking, the failure is worse than I thought. We can help, Mama said. Papa's voice was firm, just the way I remembered it on the night he said goodbye 4 years ago. Please, Katerina. Get my children out of that tunnel. I can't work if I have to worry about you too. We had no choice. We ran from the tunnel without knowing whether we would ever see it again. whether we would ever see our father again, or ever again have a chance at freedom. Things just keep getting trickier and trickier and more challenging just when you think that they're going to make it through. So I'm wondering what you guys think about this. This is chapter 39. We're almost 80% of the way through the book. Why do you think we're only learning Mama's name as Katerina now? They never referred to her as anything but Mama the whole book until they reunited. So I want you to think deeply about that. Why would they only use her name now, not before? Do you think that was on purpose? Okay, bye.